Be inspired, supported, and empowered. This is the Global Healthy Living Foundation podcast network.
Welcome to Informed Immunity, a wellness evolution podcast in which we tackle the crucial topics that impact community health, respiratory infectious diseases, vaccine advocacy, and more. I'm Angel Tapia, your guide into the world of community health, and a senior manager of Hispanic community outreach at the Global Healthy Living Foundation. Joining me is my colleague, Dr. Daniel Hernandez, Director of Medical Affairs and Hispanic Outreach. Together, we're here to break down complex health topics into easily understandable insights, answering the questions you've always had about vaccines and more. In this episode, we will be tackling the information around influenza and pneumonia vaccines and why they are important. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Angel. Today, we're focusing on a crucial subject, vaccines for individuals dealing with chronic illness. And as Angel mentioned, it's around influenza and pneumonia. This is a very important topic for those listeners. We've received many questions about this, so I'm very happy to talk about this today.
So let's jump into more specific vaccines. We'll begin by discussing influenza vaccines, a pertinent topic as flu season approaches. Daniel, could you give us an overview of the main types of flu vaccines and their importance?
Sure. So there's different flu vaccine manufacturers and multiple flu vaccines that are licensed and recommended for use here in the United States. All of them are quadrivalent, which basically means that they are a vaccine that trains your immune system on a number of mutations or strains from the flu virus. The reason for this is because the flu likes to mutate, likes to change up its composition quite often. And we don't know what type of strain is going to be kind of the one in season this year. So the best way to prevent us from getting the flu and not having the tools within our body to fight this is we get the multiple strain type of vaccine. There are many flu vaccine options, as I mentioned, but the most important thing is for all people 6 months and older to get a flu vaccine every year. If you have questions about which vaccine is best for you, it's very important to talk to your doctor or other healthcare professional. And more information on the approved flu vaccines for the current flu season and what type of person should be receiving a very specific type of flu vaccine is available in the CDC's website. So go to cdc.org and you can find more information about that.
Thank you very much for that comprehensive detail, Daniel. It's very helpful to understand some of those risks. And when we talk about the flu vaccine and how it interacts with chronic conditions, can you share a little bit more detail on that?
Sure. So as I mentioned, the flu is not a minor issue, especially for those with chronic conditions. If you have a chronic condition, it means that your immune system is already low. So if you get infected by the influenza virus, it's more likely that you will present with severe complications such as pneumonia or other respiratory infections. Therefore, if you get the vaccine, you are more likely to have the tools within your body to fight this off. So by getting vaccines, these individuals not only decrease their likelihood of getting the flu, but also reduce the severity if they do contract it.
And could you elaborate a bit of how these vaccines also bolster overall immunity?
Sure. So a flu vaccine essentially teaches the immune system how to recognize and fight the flu virus. This is invaluable for those whose immune systems may already be compromised due to chronic conditions.
So moving on, I want to touch on another critical topic, pneumococcal vaccines. This is more than just a difficult word to pronounce, but it is crucial for public health, correct?
Definitely. Pneumococcal disease is a serious concern because it can manifest in many ways, from pneumonia, as we had mentioned also with the flu, to meningitis and bloodstream infections. It's an issue that can affect individuals across the age spectrum, from infants to the elderly. So it's very important to educate yourself on this pneumococcal vaccine.
So I understand that now prevention is better than a cure. So what are the preventative measures available?
Right. So prevention is key, and that's where pneumococcal vaccines come into play. They act as a line of defense against this multifaceted disease, as I said, especially for those in higher risk categories. So these severe effects, if we are infected, can be mitigated, can be diminished by these vaccines. That's why it's so important, and that's why we're speaking about that today.
So age is a factor here. So do different age groups have different requirements?
Yes, age is a factor. That's why the CDC recommends the flu vaccine for those 6 months and older. Infants under the age of 5 and adults who are 65 or older are at higher risk. There's study after study that has shown this. So there are specific vaccination schedules tailored to these age groups, and it's very important to speak to your doctor about these vaccine schedules in order for you to make sure that you are up to date.
And what about people with pre-existing conditions? Does the vaccine interact with other health issues?
If someone is already managing a chronic condition like asthma or heart disease, getting the pneumococcal vaccine offers an added layer of protection. It's not going to affect you, but it's actually going to help you. It minimizes the risk of a bad situation getting worse due to an infection such as a pneumococcal infection.
Very good to know. Are there any contradictions for this vaccine?
Sure. So not everyone is a candidate for the pneumococcal vaccine. Those with severe allergies to any component of the vaccine should avoid it, and that's a conversation that you should have with your physician, as well as if someone is currently dealing with a severe illness, it's better to recover fully before getting vaccinated, but that is a conversation that you should be having with your physician.
Those are very good points. So to sum it up, if you fall within the higher risk category, or even if you're outside of those groups, you should consult your healthcare provider about getting the pneumococcal vaccine.
Exactly. In the realm of preventative health, which is what we're talking about today, basically, the pneumococcal vaccine is a worthwhile consideration for many. It's always best to consult, obviously, with your healthcare provider to make sure that you are getting personalized advice, which is very important. But just a few points that I'd like to add. It's that pneumococcal vaccines are very safe and effective. They've been shown to reduce the risk of serious pneumococcal infections by up to 90%. Pneumococcal vaccines are recommended for children younger than 5 years old and people with certain medical conditions, and adults 65 years old and older.
Thank you so much for sharing all of these details, Daniel, and for shedding light on this very important topic. To our listeners, remember that prevention is an essential part of maintaining good health, so do not overlook this vaccine. So before we go, Daniel, as in each episode, why don't we offer our listeners a refresher on vaccines? A vaccine 101, so to speak. So let's first start with what are vaccines?
That's a great idea. So vaccines teach your body how to produce antibodies against the virus you are being vaccinated for. This helps protect you from infection in the short term. They basically help train other immune cells known as B cells and T cells to recognize a virus and attack it. B cells produce antibodies that directly interact with the pathogen when it comes in, and it neutralizes it. B and T cells have something like a memory that allows them to identify, and they respond every time a given pathogen enters the body.
Thank you so much for that detail. Can you also tell us what role boosters play in our immunity?
Sure. So we hear a lot about boosters, especially recently we've been hearing about COVID-19 boosters. What these are basically additional doses of any vaccine. And what this does is that it provokes an immune response and it further strengthens your immune system, both in the short term and the long term. That's why these doses are spaced apart, to reactivate and strengthen the immune response.
So when we talk about responses, can we also talk about why we might get side effects?
Sure. So usually most people don't get side effects. And what happens is the reaction itself is a little tiny portion sometimes of the pathogen, and other times it's not even that. It's just the injection itself can cause redness and pain at the injection site, but it also can create, while your immune system is learning, it can create a bit of fatigue, fever, headache, nausea, and these are signs that the body is building protection against the virus. However, obviously, you should contact your doctor if your side effects feel severe or they don't go away after a few days. And everyone receiving a vaccine should be monitored on site. So wherever you get your vaccine should stay there for around 15 minutes afterward, just in case of an allergic reaction. They're very rare, but it's important to be there just in case.
Thank you so much for this refresher, Daniel. I think it helps bring all of this information together and center it so that we can make sure we pay attention to our vaccine health. And for more information, listeners can visit the CDC or WHO websites for more evidence-based information. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, stay informed and stay healthy. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Informed Immunity, a Wellness Evolution podcast. We hope our discussions inspire meaningful conversations with your loved ones. For our Spanish-speaking listeners, episodes are also available in Espanol. If you have any questions or topic you'd like us to address, email us at podcasts@ghlf.org. And you can find all of GHLF's podcasts at ghlf.org/listen. If you like this podcast, give us a rating and write a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to us wherever you listen. It'll help more people like you find us. I'm Angel Tapia.
And I'm Dr. Daniel Hernandez.
Until next time, stay informed and stay safe.
Be inspired, supported, and empowered. This is the Global Healthy Living Foundation podcast network.